might change a little bit. You know, me and you, Terry, in the summer had a go about like how attractive Man United is and what's the situation and can you attract top players. Do you know when I slightly changed my opinion? When Amarim agreed to join Man United. I didn't think that you would be able to actually pull Ruben Amarim from Sporting Lisbon midway through the season. Convince the guy to join the club. That's what I changed a little bit of my mind about this board told the project well to this guy, because this guy definitely looked at the likes of Mourinho, the likes of Ten Hag and Van Gaal and all these guys and said, why would I go there and destroy my future? Probably they sold him a good project. They gave him some promises. And this link to Alphonso Davies actually emphasizes that. So to me, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, man, maybe Man United are still on the right track a little bit.
Well, this comment here says living in the past. The problem is with this comment, my friend, is the more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. And the reason why in the last 11 years Man United fell apart is because we ignored our history. We ignored what was important, and that meaning the football being the pinnacle of the decision making. And what we didn't do for the first time in our club's, well, actually not the first time, for the second time of our club's history, we did this in the 70s, which led to relegation, and we've done it again in the last 11 years, is we didn't adapt with the changing times of the game. Man United were a club that were often ahead of the curve. So our academy in the 50s, we started taking players that weren't just from Manchester and from different parts of the country so that we could have the best youth team around, and we did with the Busby Babes. We started doing things like we added boxes to our stadium that we could charge the wealthier people more money for to generate more income, to be able to get the better players to maintain that dominance. So you have to, in life, understand and learn about the past to be successful in the future. So this idea that you're living in the past is crazy. The reason I love Man United is because of what we stand for and what we've achieved. And there's nobody here who picks their club to support based on what they might do in the future. It's always based on what they have done and or are currently doing. So for me, you have to look at the past to be successful in the future. It's what every great business is founded upon. It's what every great leader does. So for Man United to suddenly buck that trend and go, we're not going to look back on what made us great in the past is crazy. And people talk about, oh, you don't want to do all the things from the past. The only thing we don't want to repeat is having one man as, i.e. the manager running our football club. The rest of it, we've got to get back to doing in a much better way. Nick here says, I think the show would be a good... I think Shaw, would be a good wing back, but it's time for him to move on. I wanted Davies at Chelsea over Cucurella. He'd be a great signing for United.
Yeah, Luke Shaw is good, bro, but the problem is Luke Shaw is a ghost at this current moment at Man United. He only shows up in one game, international football or something. Luke Shaw was never a bad player, by the way, but he's just injury prone. Man United had to move on time ago. I don't know, they couldn't sell him. They couldn't change the contract. They couldn't do a deal like what they did with Alexis Sanchez. They could have did something with him, but Luke Shaw's good. But you wanted Cucurella, you wanted Davies at Chelsea over Cucurella. It's just Nick. It's what everybody wanted.
I love Davies' comment here. It says everyone does the same now, nothing new. This is the thing, right? When a Man United fan says we've got to do it the United way, when you're sort of very insular and you're only looking at your own club, you often think that you're very unique. And you are, but it isn't now everybody's doing the same. Man United are not the only team in England that's got a famed academy and has trusted youth. Man United are not the only team who used to use marauding wingers and play beautiful attacking football. Dozens and dozens and dozens of clubs also did it. So again, I don't think we're suddenly living in a world now where everybody's doing the same thing. People have been doing successful clubs have often done the same things as each other over the course of the last 140 years, my friend. The only reason that we know more about it now is because fans, for the first time ever in the last 7 to 8 years, have been able to come together and discuss this stuff at length more. Where before we were in our little groups, we knew what we knew, and that was it. I don't think anything's actually different. It's just we know more now than we used to. This super chat here, I want to throw this one to Giuseppe. It says, what happened to not signing Galacticos? Best left back in the world, he says. What happened to... Is it a bad thing for Man United to sign stars?
No, once again, not really. Like, you need to scatter stars with... You need a bit of both. You need a mixture. And I feel like what you done in the summer was you didn't sign any stars. So now come this summer, if you sign 2-3 stars, then it just makes your team even better. Once again, this that this comment, what happened to not signing Galacticos? Just what do you mean? Like no one's going to ever sign a good player. It's a free transfer as well. It's not like you're going to spend 100 million on a left back. Do you know what I mean? So it just doesn't like this Galacticos signing thing. It doesn't ever make sense to me when people say that. For me, Galacticos is when you do it in every position. When you're going not just one player or something. Not signing Galacticos means you're not signing a team of players that just don't fit together just because they're the best. Kind of what Real Madrid have done with their attack, where they've just signed all these good players and they don't actually fit. As long as the player fits, it doesn't matter the level that you sign.
I don't understand this comment, but anyway, Tony,
Yeah.
I don't understand your comment. What does that
agree,
even mean?
I agree, Tony, with not buying mercenaries that don't really want to be at the football club. What I don't, you can still sign stars. I think what you can't do though is try and sign a superstar in every position. I actually don't think you can handle. I don't think clubs can handle that level of ego in one place at one time. I think there needs to be a balance of ego there. This from a City fan who says, "Stop the dancing story, Terry. Man United will pay a premium if you want to get Alphonso Davies." So that's cool, and we'll screenshot this. Message us now what that premium is going to be. So I don't want you to say it's going to be a premium, and then when the amount comes out, you go, "I told you so." For you to be right, you've got to give it, and we'll let you have a ballpark figure. So give us an idea of what paying a premium is for one of the, in salary, because he's a free transfer, for one of the best left backs in the world. What do you think is a premium and what's above premium? Write that in the comment section. We'll get it screenshot. And then if and when he signs, we can refer back to it and see if you were actually correct. But we're not going to leave it open-ended for you and vague, where you can just say, well, I told you, and then pretend whatever number comes through is right. Yeah. Terry, you're forgetting United will not get Terry, you're forgetting Man United will not get to the top. You don't have the money anymore.
These comments, though,
I don't understand, Nicholas. So what's your? Do you think that clubs that don't have the money can go to the top? Or Arsenal built a squad. I don't know who you support. Arsenal built a squad without actually signing a lot. The only big signing they had was Declan Rice. That's the only signing that is astronomically higher than everyone else. Jesus was 40, Zinchenko. Also Liverpool, by the way, only Van Dijk, maybe Alisson. The rest, Salah was not that expensive. Mane was not that expensive. Firmino was not that expensive. I don't know who you support, but if you hire the right coach, if you get the right player that fit the system, I think go back to the top. Antonio Conte won the league with Victor Moses.
But also, Man United have spent more money in the last decade than Man City. We've got money. We've got money, and the debts are being reduced by the new owners. I'm not that worried about the finances. I was talking about United's owners, Terry. That's all. Listen, I understand, but the owners are still going to buy stars as and when they can. What I don't think they would do is if Alphonso Davies was on a 4-year deal right now, I don't think they'd go out and spend 160 million pounds on him and 400 grand a week. I think they would go, right, can we better spend that money elsewhere in terms of getting another really good left back and maybe investing more into the midfield? But I think because he's on a free transfer, it makes a little bit more sense. So I think it's about being sensible with that.
I think when the Man United owners have said this as well, I think people have got to take it with take context with it. I think what they mean, I think what they mean is they're just not going to sign these guys for the sake of signing these guys, which Man United have seemed to have done in the past. They've signed these superstar players for the sake of signing a superstar player. They're not saying they're not going to sign it if it makes sense and they suit the position and they suit the system.
Can I have an argument here for that guy that said that Man United would not sign stars? Alphonso Davies is free. So would you rather Man United need a wing back? Would you rather Man United go to Bournemouth and sign that Greek guy, pay 40 million for Bournemouth, sign the guy, or should you go and offer Alphonso Davies 250 grand a week? Same money, by the way. It'll be the same exact value for the same exact contract. Which one would you rather? So you sign the Greek guy?
Say we sign the fullback you've mentioned, say 40 million, like you've said, and then we pay him a
120.
Okay, I put 150, but let's change it to 120,000. We'll do your numbers, right? 120,000 over 5 years is 31,000. So in totality, you're talking about a total cost over 5 years of 71 million. That doesn't include bonuses or agent fees, okay? So that's just not including agent fees. Let's divide that by 5 years for Alphonso Davies and then divide that by 52 weeks. if we were to turn around and pay Alphonso Davies £300,000 a week, okay, let's say like a real high end level. I don't think it'll be that much.
300K.
I'm just putting it in. I'm just putting in 300K to be really high. I think it will be less, but 300K times that over 5 years, you're looking at a £78 million cost. So let's say we get him for free and give him £300,000 a week. I actually think it will be between 200 and 250,000 personally, but let's say it's 300,000. He's still only going to cost you a couple of £1 million more than the Bournemouth left back. And again, if people were to put their hands on their heart right now and say, who would you prefer? They would say Alphonso Davies. So if we can get him for the same cost as that other guy or similar cost, I'm up for it. But if we were to get him for, say, £230,000 a week, which I think is far more likely, as an example, that over the same 5-year period, it comes in nearly £10 million cheaper than the Bournemouth left back.
Yeah. But don't sign Alphonso Davies. Go and sign that guy, Kirkes from Bournemouth. He's better because you said you want to. People just make sense, please. People just think before you say.
You've got a signing on fee as well. So let's just say the signing on fee is like £10 million, £20 million. He still only may cost you, say, £10 million more than the Bournemouth guy over a 5-year period. The point is, let's not pretend that Davies isn't much better, and you are not spending an absorbent amount of money more over that time period for that player. So as I said, you need to be very, very honest about these things when you break down, which is why, by the way, isn't it funny how all these guys that say net spend is real are now suddenly acting like net spend isn't as well? Because according to net spend, he's free. Suddenly no one gives a fuck about net spend when Man United are going to benefit from it. Because Man United ruined my childhood, spend 40 million on the Bournemouth left back, please, and thank you.
He's a good, he's an Arsenal fan. The thing is as well with the Bournemouth guy, like, if you look at it like this as well, you sign Alphonso Davies, right, for free, and he don't work out 2 years later, he don't work out. You're still getting premium money for him if you sell him. If you get this Bournemouth guy, for the similar money, and he don't work out at Man United, you're not going to get good money for him if you sell him on, because they're going to look at it like he ain't a big club player, etc.
And as much as, and this is why you shouldn't use net spend, because if we sign Alphonso Davies for nothing, which is what the thing will say, and then 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we do sell him to Real Madrid because now he wants to go. Good, bad, or indifferent, he goes. Even if you only get 30 million for him, on your profit and loss accounts, which determines your PSR and FFP, which is what your spending is based on, not net spend, which is why no one should use it, we'll have made a profit, which means there'll be even more money to spend on a player. You're right, you drop 40 million on a player and it doesn't work out and you sell him for 10 million, you might make a loss, which stops you from being able to spend more. So on a financial level, it makes sense. On a quality level, it makes sense. Now, by the way, before we wrap this up and move on, I still think Real Madrid will get him, right? I don't even think Man United will get him. I'm just pointing out that all these financial arguments are silly. The Glazers are still in charge, not of the football operation. That is not in the shareholder agreement. They do not have control over that. They have a say on the money that is spent, but the dominant control sits with Ineos. Let's move forward here. Aiming for the top, of course, you have to pay for quality. Absolutely. Liverpool know this. Liverpool broke the world record on centre-backs, the world record on goalkeepers. Arsenal just spent a huge amount of money on midfielders. Chelsea spent £250,000. Actually, you had nearly 300 million on 3 midfielders. That's not a dig. It's the way it is. Something Man United are bad because they might pay someone 200 grand a week. Get fucked. Get the fuck out of here. How would you say it if I was Italian? Get the fuck out of here.
Hey.
Say it in Italian. It probably sound better in Italian.
He doesn't even speak Italian.
Speak Sicilian.
Speak Sicilian.
It's different. It's different. It's different.
Well, say it in Sicilian then.
Avaffangulo.
Oh, I've heard that on The Sopranos. Now I know what it means. I didn't know that's what it meant. It was in the opening scene, I think, where Tony's with the therapist and he's talking about, not Bush Cassidy, he's talking about some American person, and then he ends it with, say it again.
Avaffangulo.
Yeah, he ends it by saying that, but he doesn't quite say it with that. He says it with like a sort of, because one of the things I love about Sopranos is when like they say things like espresso and things like this, that they don't really know their own words, which is brilliant, which is absolutely brilliant.